Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. In this course, we'll be learning some very basic Swedish words, some grammar, and finally, how to create some common sentence using those words. Usually in our channel, we make tutorials mostly for Bengali speaking people as we are also from Bangladesh, but we are thinking why not make an English version as well of all the tutorials that we make so that even more people can learn the Swedish language. So if you are new to our channel, consider like, share and subscribe. And we also had to learn the Swedish language from the very basic. That's why we know how one should start learning and what one should learn first. Once you have learned the very basic structures, then it will be easy to continue afterwards. So this tutorial is going to be quite long as we will be covering many topics in just one single video. But from next tutorials, we'll focus on one single topic and explain more about that. So let's get started. So we'll divide the video into several parts. Part 1, we'll learn some pronomen, and pronomen is pronoun. So pronomen is pronoun, and there are many kind of pronouns in Swedish. They call personliga pronomen. They have reflexiva pronomen. They have possessiva pronomen. So as you can see, there are many types of pronouns, but in this video we learn only some basic personliga pronomen, and those are jag means I, jag, I, then mig means me, so jag, mig, then min means my. So you have jag, mig, min. Jag means I, mig means me, min means my. Then you have du means you, same, they means also you, then din means your. So let me first write down all of them, then I can pronounce and explain some more. Then they have han, he, hans, his, then honom means him, then hon means she, hennes means her, then henne also her, dom, they, dom, and theirs means their. So first you need to memorize all of them, then we can continue to the part 2. So I will pronounce them again and you see the meaning of them. So jag means I, mig means me, min means my, du, they, din, han, he, hans, his, honom, him, hon, she, hennes, her, henne, her, dem, they, deras, their. So then we'll go to part 2, and in part 2 we'll learn some verb. And like as we have also in English, we have many forms of verbs. We have, for example, infinitive, we have presence, we have preteritum, and we have supinum. I'll explain them. So if we go to this website, there they have many verbs. So as you can see, the main verb infinitive, or in other words, the main form of the verb is acceptera. Then you have imperative, where we usually ask people or order people to do something. Then we have present, something we're doing right now. Then we have preteritum, something we did before. Then we have supinum, something we have done but just now. And we know we have some more forms, but we'll stick to the basic in this video. From the next video, as I told you, we'll focus on each topic, and we'll explain more about them. So if we take this word prata means talk, speak. So talk. So prata, as you know, so this is the main verb, and sometimes you can also write like this, at prata. So this simply means like this is the main form of the verb. So prata means talk, and if we are doing now, right now, then we will say pratar. We'll add the R here. Then if we did something already, then we'll say pratade. We have already talked. And har pratat. We have just talked. So as you know, like this word har, in English we say have or has. As we know, this is a help verb that we usually use when we use this type of this form of the verb supinum, mean perfect. Then we use this help verb har pratat. So when you like say this verb, we always have to use this har before, and you will always see this kind of verb will always finish with a T. So pratat, or for example ätit, or for example gått, or jobbat. So all of these verbs, they are like supinum form, and before them we'll have to use har, and they will finish those verbs with a T. So I'll delete them. So if we come back to again, so prata means to talk. Pratar, we are talking right now. Pratade, we already talked before. Har pratat, we have just talked. So if I translate it, har pratat, have talked. Prata, pratar, pratade, har pratat. So prata means talk. So I'll just write only one meaning in English, but I hope you can just check it out on Google in case if you want to know like prata, there are prata meaning of them. Then we can take another verb. We can say äta. Äta means to eat. Äta, eat. So as I told you before, so this is the infinitive, I mean infinitive, sorry, infinitive, yes. So this is the main form, or they say in Swedish, ground form of the verb, and they never change. So they'll always be prata, äta, gå, spela, like this. But these verbs will change their form. So the main form is äta. Äta means eat. And if we're doing right now, if we are eating right now, then we'll say äter. And if we before, then we'll say åt. And if we have just done it, har ätit. So I'll pronounce it again. Äta, äter, åt, har ätit. Äta, äter, åt, har ätit. And as I told you before, I'll show how to create sentence using these words, but this we show in the last of the video. First we'll just learn these words, this pronouns, verb, then I'll also show some adjective, some adverb, and we'll also learn some noun. So first we'll learn only the words, we'll just memorize them. Then at the end of the video, we'll show how to create some sentence using the words that you are learning right now. So next verb, we can learn another one, go. Go means go, as we also see in English. Go. So if you're going right now, then we'll say går, i.e. present form. So I'll use this here. Yes. So går means we are going right now. Then gick, we went, and har gått means go. So go, går. Something to notice here, when you say go, you pronounce the G like gia, go, går, har gått. But here you don't say like gick, it's like gick, it will be kind of like this. So make sure when you pronounce this word, you don't say like gick. They don't say it like they use here går or got or gor. It's kind of, they don't pronounce this G when they pronounce this word gick. So they say like gick, go, går, gick, har gått means go. We can learn one more verb, spela. Spela means play. So if we just check here, spela means play. So when you play some game, then we can use this verb spela. So spela is the main verb. Then the present form is spelar, something that I'm doing right now. Then if you already did it before, spelade or har spelat means play. Så spela, spelar, spelade, har spelat means play. Spela, spelar, spelade, har spelat means play. We can learn some more verb. Springa. Springa means run. Run. So if you're doing right now, then we say springer. If you already did, we say sprang. If we have just done it, har sprung it means run. So how do you pronounce it? Springa, springer, sprang, har sprung it means run. We can learn another verb, dricka. Dricka means to drink. Dricka means drink. So same. Dricker, drack, past form. Har, druckit. So dricka, the main one. Dricker, drack, har, druckit means drink, to drink. We can learn another one. Jobba. Jobba means job or to work. Jobba. Work or job. So jobbar we are doing right now. Jobbade we already did. Har jobbat we have just done. Job. Jobba, jobbar, jobbade, har jobbat. There is a synonym for this word, arbeta. Arbeta also means work. Arbeta means also work. So you can use any of them and they both will be the same meaning, will have the same meaning. So arbetar, arbetade, har arbetat means work. So you can either say jobba or arbeta and they both will have the same meaning. Sometimes people may use this word or sometimes people may use this word. So if you see both of them, any word, then you understand like what they mean. Means work or job. So jobba, arbeta. Jobbar, arbetar. Jobbade, arbetade. Har jobbat or har arbetat. Sorry, arbetat. Like this. There is another word, använda. Använda means use. Använda means use. So when you use something, we'll use this verb, använda. Använder, använde or har använt means use. Använda, använder, använde, har använt just now. So you guys can learn this verb as well after you learn the pronouns, pronomen. And as I told you, we are like making the video into several parts. And first we'll just learn the words that I'm writing here, and at the end of the video we will make some sentence using those verbs, so those words. So first we have learned some pronouns, what they mean and how do we pronounce them. Then we have learned some verbs here, and we have now we know that we have many forms of verbs. We have infinitive, we have presence, we have preteritum and supinum, and we have, as we know, we have many more, but we'll just stick to the basic in this video. So in the next part 3, we'll learn some new words, adjective. And as we know, like adjective, you know, when we explain about something, like if it's good or bad, like something like this. So bra means good. Bra means good. Let me do this. Good. And we have dålig. Dålig means bad. So we have bra, that means good. We have dålig, that means bad, opposite of good. So bra means good, dålig means bad. Then another word, stor. Stor means big, and we have liten means small. Let me do this. So here, so stor means big, liten means small. So bra, good, dålig, bad. Stor, big, liten, small. Then varm, for example, varm means hot, or you can also say warm. Then, as you like know already, kall means cold. So we have varm. Varm means warm or hot. Then we have kall means cold. Then we have new here means new, and gammal means old. So ny means new, gammal means old. Ny, new, gammal, old. Then we have ledig, for example. Ledig means free, and we have upptagen means busy. So ledig, upptagen. Ledig means free, or upptagen means occupied or busy. Then we have tung. Tung means heavy, and we have lätt means light. So we have tung means heavy, or we have lätt means light or easy. So tung, lätt, tung, lätt. Then we can learn one last one. Billig means cheap, and we have dyr means expensive. So billig, cheap, dyr, expensive. So let me go through one more time. Bra, dålig, stor, liten, varm, kall, ny, gammal, ledig, upptagen, tung, lätt, billig, dyr. So in part 4 we will learn some names of some thing. So part 4. So as we have also in English, as we know, like in English we have before a word we can say either a book, sorry, like this, and book, or we can say an apple, at apple. So as we know, like we use either a or an, a or an. Also in Swedish they use this either an or at. So a word, it's either an ord, i.e. a word, or it's at ord, like we have in English. But in Swedish it's quite different than we have in English, and we'll make a video only on like when do we use an and when do we use at. So let's make it simple here. So we'll learn some word and we'll see some example of when to use an and when to use at. So for example, if I say an stool means a chair, an stool. an stool, a chair. Then I can say an book, a book. So an stool, an book, then an mobile, an mobile, an bus, a bus, an daughter, computer, then an gata, a road. So here are some examples, like when we use an before a noun, before a word, an stool, an book, an mobile, an bus, an daughter, an gata. Now we learn some word that use at before that noun, before that word. So for example, at house. House means house. So in English we don't say, an house. We simply say a house. But in Swedish they use at before house, before house. So this is something as we just learned. I mean, as far as I know, there is no rule that says like exactly before these words, these nouns you will use an, or before these words you will use at. It's more like a thing that you will learn, by the time. When you learn more and more words, then you will get used to it. So in case if you happen to say at before stool, in case if you happen to say at stool, so it's not like people would get mad at you or anything, but I mean people understand what you mean, but you will just get used to it once you learn more and more word in Swedish. So before house we say at house, a house, or we can say at born, a child, at born, a child, or we can say for example at land, a country, at land, or we can say at room, a room, at room, or we can say at or, ear. We can also say at problem, a problem, at problem, a problem, or at apple, an apple. So you can just learn them now for the moment, then we'll talk later on like when to use an or when to use at in a separate video. So I'll go through them again, then we'll move to the next part. So an stool, an book, an mobile, an bus, an daughter, an gata. Then we have here at house, at barn, at land, at room, at or, at problem, and at apple. By the way, sometimes I use this word ok as I misstate, and this simply means and. So in case if you hear me saying ok, sometimes this simply means and. So yeah, now we are done with part 4. Till now we have covered pronoun, some words here, pronoun. We have learned some verbs in part 2. We have learned some adjective, and we have now learned some nouns. And in next part, part 5, we'll like learn a little bit about how do you create a question interrogative pronoun as they call it in interrogative pronoun. Yes. Sometimes we ask people, we do make some question like, what do you mean? How will we do it? And when we make such just sentence in Swedish, there are only few rules that we just need to follow. We'll just have to learn some words before we can make those sentences. So we learn, as we say in English also, WH word. Like, I'm sure you guys are familiar with this WH word. So we use when, how, why, like this kind of word. So we learned some new words here, and they are also pronoun, but they are called as interrogativa or frågande pronomen. And fråga means question. So frågande means, as you can understand, questioning, inquiring or interrogative, as we say in English. So we learn first vad. Vad means what. Varför, why. Then we have hur, how, vilken, which, vilka, who. We can also use vem, means also who. So vilka we use when we use it's for plural. Which, but we use it when we need to create a sentence where we want to know about more people. So vem simply means who. So if we say like this, vem är du, who are you? Or if we say like this, vilka är de, who are they? So when we use like for plural, then we use vilka, but if it's singular, then we say vem. So let me delete them. Then we can say also när means when. So vad means what, varför, why, hur, vilken, vilka, vem, när. Then we can say var means where. We can say also, then as we know, we also have some auxiliary verb in English, and we use them just to make more meaning, just to make our sentence more meaningful. And there, for example, ska means shall or will. Then we have kan means can. We have måste, must. We have få means get. We have vill means want. We have behöva means need. We have bruka means used to. And there are many more, but we will stick to those only. So let me go through them again. Vad, varför, hur, vilken, vilka, vem, när, var, ska, kan, måste, få, vill, behöva, bruka. So let me do one thing. Let me create a, so when we like make a question sentence interrogative in English, we do like this: do we need this? Here we use the word do before as it's a question. Do we need this? Or we can also say like this: why do we need this? Or when do we need this? So as you can see in English, we have either do or we have why, like WH word, when, how. But in Swedish, you can make a sentence like this. So if I translate them, for example, the first one here, do we need this? Behöver vi den? So behöver means need. We means, as we learned earlier, we. Then means this. So behöver vi den? Do we need this? Or we can also create this sentence like this: why do we need this? And as we just learned, why, they call it varför. So let's do it like this: varför behöver vi den? Or when do we need this? När behöver vi den? So as you can see here, you can make this kind of sentence. Either you use a verb here in the beginning, behöver, and as you know, behöver is a verb. So behöver, we use either this word in the beginning, or we use this kind of either auxiliary, i.e., få, vill, behöva, måste, this kind of word, or WH word, as you know, like when, när, varför, something they called frågande pronomen. Frågande pronomen. These are pronouns that are, like questioning or interrogative. And we'll talk more about this later in the video when we'll make sentence. But just to show you here, like how does it work. So either you use a verb or you use some hjälp verb, or you use frågande pronomen to make a sentence like this. So if you use a verb, for example, we have learned some verb over there. So let me go back. For example, we have learned some verb here: prata, äta, gå, spela. So let me now show you some example. How does it work? First, as I wrote here, you can use a verb. You can use a verb for the first words in a sentence. So prata. Prata means to talk. So if you say pratar jag, do I talk? Sorry. Pratar han, does he talk? Pratar de, do they talk? So han means he, dom means they, jag means I. So if it's in English, how do you say? Do I talk? Or if han, does he talk? Or do they talk? But when you translate or you try to make a sentence in Swedish, the same, it will be, as you can see, you use only the verb in the very beginning of the sentence, and you just say the subject, the person who is doing. So pratar jag, do I talk? Pratar han, does he talk? Pratar de, do they talk? Or as I told you, you can use also help verb, and we just learned that help verb are kan, måste, få, vill, those kind of verb. So for example, we say kan du prata, can you talk? Vill du prata, Do you want to talk? So kan du prata means can you talk? Or vill du prata? Do you want to talk? Like this. Or we can use even frågande pronomen, and we just learn frågande pronomen are those words var, ska, vad, varför, hur, vilken, vilka, those words. So I request you to write down those words. As you know, I go through them like up and down and I scroll them too much. So if you write down them in a note, then maybe it will be easier to go back to them and see like how I created sentence. So if I now create some if I now use some sentence using these words, frågande pronomen, then I simply say, so varför pratar du? Why do you talk? Varför pratar du? Why do you talk? Why do you talk? And hur pratar du? How do you talk? So as you can see, let me make it normal here. As you can see, either I use a frågande pronomen, varför, hur, or I can use a help verb auxiliary here, vill du prata, kan du prata, or I simply use a main verb, normal verb, pratar jag, pratar han. By using these three rules, I can use simply, as you can see, I can simply make many sentences, But this is not our topic for the moment. This is just to show you how it works. So what you need to do in this part, you'll just need to learn. You'll just need to learn these words. So I'll go through them again. Vad, varför, hur, vilken, vilka, vem, när, var, ska, kan, måste, få, vill, behöva, bruka. So let me go to the next part, and in the next part we'll learn some singular and plural. So again we'll use the same nouns that we used earlier. So this will be part, I don't know, let me check. This will be our part 6. Part 6, singular or plural. Yes. So when you say en stool means a chair. For plural we say två stolar. So en means one, två means two, and we'll make a video also like on pronouncing and like on these words, and 2, 3, 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4, those numbers. But for the moment you can just learn, like memorize those words. So en stool, a chair, två stolar. En bok means a book, två böcker. Here, before I show further, so we use sometimes this word några. Några means a few, and this also means like more than one. Or we can use this word flera. Flera also means several, that is also plural. Or we can also use många. Många also means many. So we can use either två böcker or flera means several, or många also means many. And they all mean, as you can see, the same, like we use them to make plural sentence. So either en bok or många böcker, en stol or 2 stolar. Så en mobil, många mobiler. We can also say, for example, en kille, a boy, 2 killar, many boys. We can also say en tjej, for example, a girl, många tjejer, many girls. We can also say en gata, a road, or 2 gator, 2 roads. So yes, part 6. So here we have learned how to say it in singular and plural. So in singular we say en stol, and for plural we say stolar. For singular we say bok, for plural we say böcker. Here we say mobil, and here we say mobiler. Kille, killar. Tjej, tjejer. Gata, gator. Okay, so now that you've learned some singular and plural, in next part we learn something new. Part 7, future, framtid. As you know, in English we use this word shall or will, means I shall or I will. And as we know, we use this to use when we want to say something that we'll do in the future. So I will go. As you can see here, they use this word shall or will. In Swedish they say it ska. So ska means shall, or we can also use for will. But as we know, will has also another meaning, vilja. So I am willing to do, I am willing to go like this, but we'll stick to only ska. So ska means shall, something that we'll do in the future. Or we can also do like this, kommer att, going to. As we know, when we make a sentence in English, I will or I shall do it, we can also say I am going to do it. I mean, I will do it tomorrow or next week or something like this. So I'm going to do this, or I will do this, or I shall do this. As you know, it's the meaning is kind of same. So we can either use ska, or we can either use kommer att. So if you get confused, then you can simply use ska, as it's just a small word, maybe you will not forget it. So in every sentence, if we want to say something about future, I will do it, I will go, I will play, then we must use this word, or this word must be in that sentence, ska or kommer att. Ska or kommer att. As we learned before, when we make some question sentence, so we had some verb or auxiliary verb, or this kind of verb in the beginning. The same rule applies here also. If we want to make a sentence future, then we must have this word ska or kommer att in that sentence. So if I give you some example, so jag ska gå, I shall go or I will go. Du ska spela, you will play. So here, as you can see, here I must use ska or I must use ska, or I can also use kommer att. Du kommer att spela, you are going to play. Okay, so in this part we will know only about this. Then we'll go to part 8, and in part 8 we can learn some hjälp verb or help verb. And as we all know, help verb, they just helps They just help the verb to create a sentence and to make the sentence more meaningful. And there are many of them. We can use ska, can. Let me just write first, then I will explain them. But we have måste, we have får, vill, then we have behöva, bruka, hinna, har, hade, är, var, and many more, but we will stick to those only. And I guess you already know that we have already talked about this in our here. So when we learn about how to make some question frågan the pronomen question sentence, then we use those words auxiliary. So they are also called as hjälp verb. They just help the main verb. So ska, shall or will. Then we have can. Then we have bör. Bör means should, must, get, want, like this. So as you can see, it just continues. So for example, here we have also have har means has or have. Hade means something before had. Er means is or are. Var means was or were. So är, var, hade, har, hinna, bruka, behöva, vill, få, måste, bör, kan, ska. So we are almost done with all the parts that I wanted to show. Now we'll show like how to create some basic sentence using all the words that we have learned. So before I do that, let me go through one last time so that you can remember what we learned earlier. Then we'll start creating some sentence using all the words that we have learned here. So in the very first part, we learned those words: jag, mig, min, du, dig, din. Then we have han, hans, honom, hon, hennes, henne, dem, deras. And in part 2, we have learned some verb. And as we know, like in this part, our verbs have many forms. So you have grundform, the main form, prata, to talk. Then we have presence, pratar, we are doing right now. Pratade, we did start there before. Har pratat, we have just talked. Then äta, äter, åt, har ätit. Gå, går, gick, har gått. Spela, spelar, spelade, har spelat. Springa, springer, sprang, har sprungit. And we have some more verbs here. And in part 3, we learned those words: bra, dålig, stor, liten, varm, kall, ny, gammal, ledig, upptagen, tung, lätt, billig, dyr. So and in the next part we learn some new words here, some nouns. So we have learned stool and book and mobile and bus and dator and gata, ett hus, ett barn, ett land, ett rum, ett år, ett problem, ett äpple. Then in part 5 we have learned some frågande pronomen to know how can we create this kind of sentence question. So we have learned vad, varför, hur, vilken, vilka, vem, när. Then we have learned var, ska, kan, måste, få, vill, behöva, bruka, like these words. Then in the next part we have learned some singular and plural and difference between them. Så en stol, två stolar. En bok, många böcker. En mobil, många mobiler. En kille, två killar. Tjej, tjejer. Gata, gator. Then in the next part we learn some some rules that this word that we must use if you want to make a sentence about future sentence. Ska or kommer att. And we can use both of them. Ska means shall or will. Kommer att means going to. So jag ska gå, I will go. Du kommer att spela, you are going to play. Then in the last part we learn some help verb that you already also learned in the question part. Så ska, kan, bör, måste, få, vill, behöva, bruka, and more. So in this last part, part 9, final part. Here we'll learn how do we create a sentence. So as we know in English, how do we create a sentence? So we have a subject, someone who does, and a verb, I do. So for example, if I write it like this, subjekt, or inledning this also in Swedish, and we have verb. So when you say it in English, how do you say it? I do, I play, I go. Similarly, when you say it in Swedish, now we need to go back to our very first part that we learned, those pronouns here. So I hope that you have already written down those words on a paper or somewhere, so that I'll not scroll up all the time. So I will use words from here, then I'll make a sentence. So you can just check if it messes how I'm writing. So for example, when I say I do, okay, let me delete them. I will use some word that we have learned, some verbs. I talk. We learned this verb in a verb part. So let me do this. Yeah, this is our last part, final part. So we have a subject, inledning, and we have a verb. So I talk. Okay, now how do we make it in Swedish? So we first use subject. I means jag, and talk means pratar. So I talk, jag pratar. Now when you know how to say I am talking, jag pratar, Now you just change this word and you can start making and creating new sentence. How? I mean like this. So du pratar means you are talking. You can say again, han pratar, he is talking. Hon pratar, she is talking. De pratar, they are talking. So that's why I requested you guys to memorize all the parts very good before you start creating new sentence, because once you know the meaning of yolk, do, han, hon, dom, then you will not have to scroll up, or you'll not have to go back like, oh, what does yolk mean, what does do mean, what does han mean, because you need to learn them first and learn this verb first very good, so that you can create new sentence very easily. So I'll not scroll up more, I'll just create here, and you can just check with me here. So once I know how do I create a sentence, I am talking, jag pratar, then I can just change this word jag and put other words, other pronouns, do, han, hon, dom. As you can simply see here, you have already learned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have already learned 5 sentences in Swedish, like without even maybe realizing that like by this time you know at least 5 sentences in Swedish. And what are they? Jag pratar, I am talking. Du pratar, you're talking. Han pratar, he is talking. Hon pratar, she is talking. De pratar, they are talking. As you can see here, it's very easy to create sentences in Swedish once you know the structures, like how do you begin, how do you begin. So first you'll have a subject, someone who is doing. Inledning, inledning means when you start something. Inledning, introduction. So when you open something, then you use this. Then you use a verb. As we know, like if I only say jag means I, this means nothing. If I say only pratar, talk, it means nothing. So we'll have to have a subject and we'll have to have a verb. So I am talking, jag pratar. Now after them you can just say John pratar, John is talking. Kalle pratar, Kalle talking. Okay, now let me show some more magic here. Okay, I'll just here. So I have used 2 nouns, 2 persons' name, John and Kalle, and I have used those pronouns that you learned earlier. So till now you can use, you know already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know already 7 sentences, 7 meanings in Swedish. So till now, if you think like you don't know anything Swedish, I hope that you can now feel relaxed and you can just say that, oh, I know something at least in Swedish. Jag pratar, du pratar, han pratar, hon pratar, de pratar, John pratar, Kalle pratar. Now in the verb part, in our second part, we also learned that a verb can have many forms, as you know. Something you're doing right now, something we did yesterday, something we just did. So when you say I am talking, you pratar, you can also say that I was talking, I talked with someone yesterday. So how do you say it? It's very easy. You just change this word pratar, I mean the present form will be pratade. As you can see, it's like a magic here. So you just delete this word pratar, and as you can see here, this is a new sentence. Jag pratade, I talked. So it's very easy. Like once you know the ground, the structure, like the basic rules, then it will be very easy. So let me get it back here. So I am talking, jag pratar. Now if I ask you, I was talking or I talked last week with someone, how do you say it? You will simply use the past tense or past form of the verb and you just say it like this, jag pratade. Jag pratade, very easy. Now if I ask you to make a sentence like I have just talked with my friend, how do you say it? And if you think if you can create the sentence without checking my answer, then you can just pause the video and do it and check like if it's like my answer here. So as we learned earlier, when we create a supinum verb, supinum form, then we must use har, help verb, auxiliary verb, and pratat, this form. And this kind of verb will always end with a T at the end of the word. As you can see here, this doesn't end with T, this doesn't end with T, but this ends with a T. So I have talked with my friend. Jag har pratat. I have talked. Now what you need to do? Exactly the same thing. If you say someone to you talked before, something you did yesterday. Now how do you say it? You don't have to even wait for maybe. You don't even have to wait for me. You just create for yourself now. Du pratade. Maybe I can do like this. Here. So du pratar, you are talking right now. Du pratade, you already talked, but you have just talked. Du har pratat. So jag pratar, I am talking. Jag pratade, I talked. Jag har pratat. Du pratar, you are talking. Du pratade, you are talking or you talked. Du har pratat, you have just talked. Now, I think you already guessed like what I'm thinking to do. I'm thinking to do exactly the same thing with the other words here. So han pratade, har pratat. Hon pratade, har pratat. Pratade. So that's why I told you the fun part will be the ending part that we'll have here, like creating the sentence. Now many of you like feel like, oh my god, how do I make a sentence in Swedish? I only know some words, I only know jag, I only know han, but how do I talk? Like how do I make a sentence? Like if I meet someone who speaks Swedish, like how do I talk to them? As you can see, it's very easy. You just need to know the basic, like how do you create this. But as I told you before, that's why I requested all of you to memorize them very good, so that like when you need to use them, you don't like hesitate. Does this really mean this or that? So you just memorize them good before you speak to start talking to someone. So same. John pratar, he's talking. John pratade. John har pratat. Or Kalle pratade, har pratat. Now, as you can see here, once you learn jag, du, han, hon, dom, and once you learn pratar, pratade, har pratat, these three forms, can you like imagine like how many sentences do you know? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 here, 5 here, 10, 5 here, 15. You have already know 50 sentences in Swedish. So if you still feel like you can't speak in Swedish or you don't know how to start, here you go. Here is the basic rules that you need to know. Then of course you have more rules, but this is the very basic rule that you need to know before you start talking, like how do you start, why do you start, like. So now if you just use them whenever you need. So as you know, like we learned some more verbs. What did we learn more? We also learned äta. We also learned go means go. We also learned spela. We also learned springa means run. We also learned dricka. We also learned jobba. We also learned arbeta, använda, behöva. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and here is on 10. So can you imagine, like you learned only 10 verbs, 9 here and 1 is there, 10, but only learning but learning only these 10 verbs, like how many sentences can you create now? I mean, without even realizing this. So jag pratar, simply change the verb. Jag äter. I'm eating. So instead of saying eating, you say this. I am going. You go. Or you eat. I went. Or you have got. I have gone. Or this one. Spela. Jag spelar. I am playing. Jag spelade. I was playing or I played. Jag har spelat. Now you just multiply, like if by one verb you can create 15 sentences, then multiply it by 10, then it will be 150. I mean, it's very 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 easy once you know the basic rules. So then you have of course some advanced. So it's not like we'll always have only one subject and a verb in a sentence. Sometimes we'll have like this. So I read a book. So here we have a subject, someone who is doing, a verb, and then an object. So how do we do this? Read. Okay. So read means läsa. Läsa means read. So this is a new verb that you have learned. So läsa means read. Läser. Jag läser en bok. So if you have more than this, a subject and a verb, then you will simply have the object, or they call it, what do they call it? They call, object. So we'll do like this. Let me make it like this. So subject, then we have verb, then we have object. So how does it work? So it works like this. First, who is doing, then what is doing, and an object. So jag, sorry, it will be jag here. Jag means I, läsa means read, and book, a book. So I read a book, or I am reading a book. Jag läser en bok. Very easy. Now if I say I am eating food, how do you say it? I hope you can do it now. Okay, maybe this word I didn't show you. Food means in Swedish mat. So mat means food. Now you know mat. So how do we create this? How do we translate this? How do you create a sentence? I am eating food. Now eating, in Swedish we just learn äta. So how do you do this? Jag means I, äter, eat or eating, I am eating. Mat, jag äter mat, I am eating some food. Jag äter mat. So you will have a subject, then you will have a verb, then you will have an object. And sometimes you might have, as we know that we have more complicated, more complex sentence, but we'll, as we told you earlier, like we'll make some more videos and focusing on each topic. So for example, we'll in a video we'll talk only about this help verb. In a video we'll talk about only this kind of future or singular plural. But as this is kind of a crash course and we just wanted to show almost everything, but in in a basic way, in a basic form. That's why we are not showing more complex stuff than this basic stuff. So as we have learned, we'll have someone who is doing yog, spelar, I am playing football. I am playing football. Here spelar football, sorry. Or I am playing cricket. Yog, spelar, cricket. So yog, who is doing verb and object here. So and that's it for today, and I hope that you guys have got some basic ideas. Like if you're completely beginner in this language, then I hope that you have learned something here. As we showed here, it's not as scared as people think. Like once you know the basic, and as you all know, when you want to learn a new language, you'll have to memorize. I mean, it's not like you'll only know the rules. So if you know that, oh, how do I create a sentence, or I need a subject, or I need a verb, I need an object, but it does work if you don't know some subject, if you don't know some verb, if you don't know some object, then it will be meaningless. So to begin with, you should just memorize and learn more and more words. Once you know many words, then it will be easy for you to understand when people talk or to create new sentences. And I hope that this will benefit you, and we'll continue uploading more videos in English as well, so that people who don't speak Bengali, they may also learn some. And if you guys are new in this channel, then you can subscribe to our channel. So yeah, thanks for today. Bye.